So on ABC's This Week, they had a panel discussion, as they tend to do. Now, if you don't know what ABC's This Week is, I don't blame you. It's a Sunday morning, one of those Sunday morning political talk shows. So hosted by George Stephanopoulos. Okay? Just so we're on the same page. So they had their panel. And during the panel, somebody on it, Matthew Dodd, makes a comment about single payer healthcare. Let's see what he said.
AHCA is going to hurt the patient. To me, no side is fundamentally addressing, and we need to actually ask the question is, should we go to a single payer system? Right. Because affordability hasn't been fixed by this or ACA, and accessibility hasn't fundamentally
been fixed. That is a huge question. It's not on the table when you've got a Republican House, a Republican Senate, and the White House. But I want to bring one question, though.
Fucking Bernie, bro. Single payer? What are you, Bernie, bro? What? What did you do in your past? You just, you were the chief strategist for the Bush-Cheney 2004 presidential campaign. Yeah, so, not a Bernie bro. Just, a guy who maybe is more in tune with the political reality that single-payer healthcare might actually be the answer. So, Matthew Dowd, who I believe I'm saying his name right. I'm sorry, I don't know all these fucking fossils on television. But Matthew Dowd, I had to look into him because I'm like, okay, this guy, he worked with Bush and Cheney, supports single-payer healthcare. Dowd was a Democrat in the 90s. Do you know when he became a conservative? 1999. Who the fuck becomes a conservative for George Bush? That's around the time when people started to become more Democrats, because George Bush versus Al Gore, there was one person who was clearly more intelligent than the other person. But it appears some people feel that Dowd may be a bit of an opportunist, and that it's possible he switched parties to work for Bush, which would make a little more sense given his position on single-payer healthcare. He has since become an independent, but when you become a commentator on cable news, you sort of have to play that faux neutrality game. In fact, he probably voted for Hillary Clinton. Let's be real. This guy's probably a Democrat. But despite all that, I want to get to another part of this video, the end of that clip. Look how quickly Stephanopoulos moves on to the next subject. I'm just going to play it again, just that last part.
And accessibility is fundamentally
That is a huge question. It's not on the table when you've got a Republican House, a Republican Senate, and the White House. But I want to bring one question, though.
Look at that. He just moves completely on. Single payer? Oh, no. No, we can't talk about that because Republicans control everything. So let's move on. Why are they so quick to move on from a discussion on single payer? How often have you seen single payer discussed really in depth on television? Please show me clips. If there is recent discussions, deep dives into maybe the idea that single payer should be adopted by the US, if these discussions are happening a lot on television, then show me the clips. Maybe I'm wrong. But I watch a lot of cable news, unfortunately, and the topic is not brought up ever. And when it's brought up, like you see here, they want to make sure to get the hell out of the conversation and move on to something else. Maybe it has something to do with, I don't know, the healthcare industry having a hold financially on a lot of various players, whether it's politicians or the media. Maybe. Or really, it might just be because the discussion on single payer is so out of the beltway that the idea of it to them is preposterous, because they're in their little corporate bubble where it's never brought up. They don't realize how popular a single payer healthcare system actually is, just based on policy. When you take the parties out of it and just discuss, hey, whether you're conservative or liberal or whatever, do you think the idea of a single payer healthcare system works? Should we move to a healthcare system that the majority of other developed countries in the world have. People overwhelmingly agree with that. But you bring it up on a Sunday morning political talk show. Oh, no. No. Republicans, they control everything. Let's move on. Next discussion. What else is happening? What else? What else is sponsored? What other donor-based discussions can we have? It's never discussed. It's just not discussed. And despite all my stupid joking, I really think it's just because they're in a bubble, and that it's not a topic of conversation. No one talks about it, and because no one talks about it, it's just not thought of as an idea that's possible. And you know what? Maybe it's not possible because politicians aren't pushing for it. It would be possible if the politicians in control actually did push for it. If Democrats in Congress actually pushed for it. And some are. And many others are not. But if it's an idea that they adopt and keep discussing over the next 2 years, you will see more Democrats win in 2018. And you will see a 2020 victory by a liberal. But if they don't adopt these policies that are popular with the majority of the country, then who knows what's going to happen.